Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Oh my God. Welcome to Mavs Party. It's about 11:30 on Monday night, November 7th. Thank you so much for joining me after that preposterous Dallas Mavericks game where they held off the I guess they're the Brooklyn Nets now, 96-94. Luka recorded his 9th straight game to start the year of 30-plus points. All sorts of weird shit happened. Josh Green probably played the best game that he's actually played in a meaningful way. Perfect 5 of 5 from the field, made some really fun defensive plays. All sorts of stuff to talk about. Not even really sure where to begin. So let's sort of hop right to it. If you're joining me on the podcast a day later, you'll have already heard Josh Bowe and Matthew Phillips talking about this game. I asked for them to record this one mainly because it is too early in the season for me to be staying up till 3 in the morning doing all this nonsense. Oh, folks. So you guys know the drill here. We already got some good people having stepped in here to ask to come up on stage. You know the drill. Listen for your name. Look for the green ring around your icon to be lighting up to make sure your audio is picking up. And let's move through some folks. We have an absolute fan favorite waiting in the rafters. I'm going to give folks a few minutes to join the room, and then we can let our friend Akiva chat. But first, we're going to lead off the bat with Brett. How you doing, Brett? What's going on tonight, friend?
Hey, Kirk. Well, I'll let other people talk about the Josh Green related things.
No. We should all talk about the Josh Green thing. It's fine. It's fun. He's not going to have perfect 5 of 5 games all the time. We should have a great time with it.
I think that this whole season, I've always been skeptical about him. I hope that he would be, a competent NBA player, but a game like this is genuinely something I don't think I ever had at any point in his career thought that he was capable of.
Which thing is the most surprising for you? I've got about 3 things.
The drive where he drove from the pump fake on a 3, drove and then finished reverse layup. That was something that something's open dunk, or hitting a 3, you can get lucky to hit a few threes.
That's a big
that layup was something that he would have passed out of that every single game last year.
It's an adult basketball player move that results in everything else that comes for him, because if he's a threat to drive, then he's a threat to shoot. And it causes sort of a cascade of optionality for the Mavericks, because let's just be honest, when he's been on the floor in years past, not this season, but the previous seasons, teams have left him alone. They don't really care. We're going to allow Josh Green to do these things. And if he's a threat to drive at the rim with that much force, it causes a lot of other good things to happen.
And also, I think Josh Bowe said this on Twitter, but I was around the same time in the game when he was setting screen after screen for Luka. There are moments when you feel like a team finds something, and that felt like the Mavs, found something with him.
Well, it's interesting. So obviously, we all know by now Tim Hardaway Jr. went down with what looked like a groin injury, but ends up being a hip injury. I would not be surprised if he misses some time. And so there's going to be a lot of calls. There already is a lot of calls for Josh Green to start. He obviously played the final 8 minutes of the game, which I think is pretty important. But what that does in the rotation, Tim Hardaway is being injured. It frankly frees up some minutes that are without question, because the Mavericks need people to soak up minutes, and we're going to be able to see, if Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to miss any time, then I think we can probably book Josh Green for a solid 20 to 23 minutes a night for however many games that Tim Hardaway is out.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, I'm sure though, now that Frank is in theory back and healthy again, he'll probably take up some of those minutes, at least initially.
I don't want to see Frank,
but I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to see the Argentinian fellow. I'm forgetting. Facundo.
We haven't. We've not seen Facu. That's a good point.
We've like miraculously not seen him like at all, other than like the first game. But the other thing is that like from Luka in this game, Luka obviously always shows frustration to the refs. Like that's who he is. Yep, but his frustration with his teammates was. I don't think I've ever seen a game where I felt like he's showed that much visible frustration with his teammates. Like obviously you have at the beginning where he's frustrated with JaVale. JaVale gets subbed out and then does not return. But throughout the game, there were moments where he was clearly like unhappy, even with smaller things. Like obviously, like it's reasonable when Dorian throws that pass that's a turnover. That's like such a stupid pass. Like that's a reasonable time to be frustrated. But he was like repeatedly frustrated with his teammates throughout the game, and that's something that. I mean, I just wonder what you think about.
Well, I'll say that I'm glad it worked out to the Mavericks' benefit, because that's the sort of thing where you can kind of lose people at moments. And these guys have played together long enough to where I think these sort of moments of like open bickering are probably acceptable to a degree. The McGee thing was hilarious. Like, we've been on this podcast for 5 minutes. I can say this right now. Like JaVale McGee playing is a war crime. I'm tired of seeing it. He doesn't do the things that help. Like, he got hung out to dry by Spencer Dinwiddie to throw that the opening oop, but then he throws that pass to Luka where it's just like, dude, what are you doing? It's DeAndre Jordan shit. Like we're all tired of this stuff, and playing hard fixes so much, which is where in a regular season game, Dwight Powell and Josh Green are the difference makers in such a small, in a game where it's like mainly decided by basically who wants it more. I'm not sure if that's gonna work in a playoff game, but I don't care right now. I want the Mavericks to win as many games as possible and figure that sort of stuff out along the line. So if Luka's going to get a little bit pissy, I'm okay with it. Here's why. 9 straight 30-point games, and the Mavericks have won a single blowout.
Yeah, I mean,
a single blowout. That's not great for the long term. They need to be kicking the shit out of teams.
Oh, I'm not saying that I feel like that's a negative from Luka. Like that was not like, oh, I think he shouldn't be doing that. Like
it's a good question though. I like you brought it up.
Like the frustration with the refs and they're not running back on defense. Sometimes like I'm obviously a massive Luka guy, and so that stuff is frustrating to see. And like some of the defensive lapses are frustrating, but that was something where I just thought like the dynamic was different, and that it felt like
I've not seen him do it before.
I mean, like I just haven't seen that. Like obviously, there's like moments where he talks to guys, talks with a guy after a play, but that level of like clear frustration. I mean, and it wasn't a game where they were getting blown out. It wasn't like, oh, we're playing so terribly that it's really embarrassing.
Right.
But so I just thought that dynamic was different, and so I'm just curious to see if that continues or.
Probably a one-off. Like this was a game where Luka started out pretty poorly, if we're being quite candid, and then picked it up. I mean, it looked like he wasn't going to score 30 points, or he wasn't going to finish the first quarter with double digits, and then he ended up with 13 because he went to the free throw line 6 times. So. Luka's Luka. So it's a great win. I'm glad we're talking about a win. They're up by 10 and things got a little funky down the stretch because the Nets finally hit some corner threes. And I'm glad the Mavericks held on, is what I'll say, because this would have been a hilarious room if the Mavericks would have lost.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree about JaVale McGee. Unless there's some kind of contractual thing that we are we as fans are unaware of.
Well, no, the contractual thing is Jason Kidd wanted him, so this is a stubbornness thing.
Yeah, I mean, like,
this is a pure stubbornness thing.
I would, like, if JaVale McGee starts another game that isn't either out of, like, injury to other centers or, like, they're playing Jokic or Embiid, who are, like, probably the only guys that you'd ever want to see him start against, like, if Luka leaves in, in, like, a couple years, that will be the moment that I will look back at. That you're like, are you serious? It's not that he's. I mean, it's not that JaVale is like kind of bad.
The energy is awful when he plays.
Like the vibes are horrible. Yeah. Just horrific. Like it has. I mean, like parts of it is like the actual basketball things he does, but like the team just does not want to play when he's in, and they do want to play.
I don't get it. It's like it's purely vibes. Well, thank you for getting us started, Bub.
Thanks.
All right, coming up next, we're gonna give Akiva just a second here because I'm getting all of you guys being grumpy in the chat. Look, this is a after show where we're all feeling a little sassy. We're gonna see how things are going. I'm gonna let my man Drew come up next. I know he's East Coast based too. What's up, friend?
Hey, Kirk.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I've been traveling, so I haven't been on quite so much.
It's a long year. We got 80. We got 100 more of these.
We do. I just got to make maybe 3 points. One thing about Luka's a savant, and he's just a tremendously amazing talent. But let's not forget he's 23 years old, and he really doesn't have the maturity that I think he's going to develop. And I wanted to point this out a couple of the games back, like the OKC game at the end there, where he ends up getting 3-point shots 5 feet behind the line, with the game on the line and everything like that. And I think in 2 or 3 years, you will not see Luka doing that. Luka's going to be taking the ball down to the paint and these crunch time things and imposing his will.
Which he's been doing for most of the game, for most of the season. Like there was a comparison of the kind of shots he's taking. I wish I had saved this in my Twitter.
He's doing that more this year, but at crunch time, he does not need to be taking 3-pointers at crunch time. I'm sorry. I mean, that's the time to go in there and
they go into prevent. They go into like wildly annoying prevent offense in the fourth quarter.
It is, and this was a really strange game. I don't think I've ever seen the amount of offensive fouls that I saw this game. And it wasn't just one team, both teams.
No, there's a lot of
it's
the sort of thing with screens as the season goes along that they frankly stop calling, where it's like these up high elbow screens kind of, where it's like once it's in the playoffs, nobody calls that stuff. But like Christian Wood got called for one because KD flopped. And it was just like that's I get why they called it a foul, but I couldn't believe they called it a foul,
Yeah. And I got to talk about my boy, Josh Green. I'm telling you, the thing I like about him is the kid's a hard worker, and he's going to come. He's athletic, and he's learning, and I say it all the time, and I know people kind of get tired of me saying it and everything like that, but nobody else seems to say it. He is just now, he's the same age that Desmond Bane was when he was a rookie. He was so young when he came in and so unprepared for this that we just had to be patient. And really, like I said, a lot of guys are he's the age of a lot of guys that were rookies now that came in doing really well. And I just sometimes think we lose sight of that. And now let's judge him on this year. When this year's done, compare his year this year to Desmond Bane's rookie year. I think
Desmond Bane's rookie year will still be better. I don't want to compare them. Desmond Bane is currently shooting 25, 5, and 5. That's he's a borderline all-star. It's not fair to Green.
Well, no, I'm talking about Desmond Bane's rookie year.
Yeah, he was amazing.
He was not Desmond Bane's rookie year.
Desmond Bane was amazing his rookie year.
He was averaging 14 points a game, something like that. Had a good
14 is amazing. 75% of NBA players score less than 10 points a game.
I understand that. But to be fair to Josh Green, we got to judge that year against him because he's the same age. Right now, Desmond Bane is 2.5 years older than Josh Green. So in 3 years, let's judge Josh in 3 years on what Desmond Bane's doing there. And I still think Desmond Bane's probably going to be a better player in 3 years from now. But I think Josh Green's going to be a damn good player in 3 years.
Well, they found a nice little role for him here. And the consistency of minutes is something that I think is very nice to see, because it's hard for a guy to get comfortable if he's playing, 6 minutes. Like the fact that he closed the game,
exactly.
Nice. I don't expect him to close every game, because I think the Reggie Bullock's going to get his shit together. He's just a vet.
I understand
nice
that, but he deserves these meaningful minutes, because I love to see him playing with Luka, because he does a lot of little things to help Luka out. Like that one time when Luka missed that shot and he got that offensive rebound and kicked it out and they got the second chance and everything like that. He does a lot of things to help Luka out.
Well, he sort of forces the Mavericks to move around a little bit, because the aforementioned point about Luka and the 3-point shooting, kind of like let's just drain it down and then take this tough shot. Like Green's sort of like zip-zapping around and setting screens and stuff. Like Josh Bowe pointed this out, where he'd like to see Green as the roll man with Luka.
Yes.
And I would like to see that too. I don't have many complaints about Luka, because Luka's obviously a friggin' superstar, but I wish he would use the screen and roll opportunities in moments like this for more than just mismatch hunting. Like run a play, do something. I get that the Luka ISO is pretty valuable, but every now and again, let's run a little more offense. And Green being involved in the roll man sounds nice.
In fairness to him, the role people have kind of let him down a little bit this year. I mean, he's done that and made great passes to them, and guys just are not.
That Dwight Powell one. Yeah. That Dwight Powell one was, and Powell, after, you could see it in his face, because it was like Luka got that. That was a magician's play. It went through like 3 defenders.
Yeah, and the pick and roll guys have been letting him down this year, so I can see him being a little bit frustrated, because he literally should have an average of 2 to 3 assists more a game, just because these guys are just missing. He's just setting these guys up beautifully, and they're just. I feel good about finishing.
This, though. I mean, I saw like one of these Kirk Goldsberry graphs today about like shooting, and the Mavericks are kind of right in the middle of the pack, and I think they're going to continue to get these good shots. Like Bullock is just missing the most, oh my God, kind of shots that I think he'll eventually figure out. Wood is in a weird spot right now. The offense still has layers that they can peel through.
Exactly. And Kirk, at the end of the day, this team is still finding itself. I think this team is going to improve a lot. And they're a game and a half out of first place, and Utah's in first place.
Well, they've lost 3 games by 10 points.
I know. That's not a bad place to be. Like I said, this team is still finding itself, and you're a game and a half out of first place, and Utah's first place. And I'm sorry, but Utah ain't going to be at first place in the end of the season. That's just not going to happen.
Thanks for
I think they're going to, yeah. All right. Thanks for letting me speak, Kirk.
Of course. Talk soon. All right. Coming up next, it's a fan favorite. I reached out to his son-in-law, so you guys are not allowed to bitch about him in the chat, because he's my friend and yours. Akiva, welcome back, buddy. It's been a long time. Hope you had a good offseason, and I hope you've had an enjoyable start to the NBA season.
Thank you so much, Kirk. Can you hear me?
I can. You sound great. Great to hear your voice.
Oh, thank you. Same here. My favorite thing is to talk to you. And as you know, my second favorite thing is to bitch about Jason Kidd.
He has a great look at, like, he has front row seats to some of the fuckery that happens in some of these games, and yet they're winning anyways.
Well, yeah, I know. Actually, Kirk, this year I'm not going to go to any games, probably because my father passed away like in August.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Nah, thank God. God gave him like 95 years almost, so that's good. But in my religion, for like a year, if your parent passes away, for like a year, you're not supposed to go to parties, weddings, maybe entertainment events. So I'll probably stay away this year. But I'm still watching, not as closely as I watched the last 3 or 4 years. But I gotta tell you, if you watch the last 2 minutes or last minute of this game and you still think that Jason Kidd is a good coach, I feel sorry for you.
He waits a little too long on stuff, like the runs for timeouts. That's been kind of our consistent gripe, where the first quarter, all of a sudden it was 25-11. And it's like, dude, what are we watching here? Call a timeout.
I'm surprised nobody criticizes this thing about with 32 seconds left or what have you, 20 seconds left, you're up 3, you start fouling the other team.
So, okay, let's talk about this because Carlisle would never foul. And I feel like we lost more games than my heart remembers, just like really painful losses where somebody would do something stupid. I don't know what the correct strategy is. I mean, the Mavericks lucked out in this one, and I'll take it. It's better to be lucky than good every time. But I'm not really sure what the right play is there because, like, would you want any of those guys to shoot a 3-point shot?
You stopping the clock. You letting it become a free throw shooting contest, which is better chance for the other team than they would have if they have to earn points, whether it's a 3, whether it's a 2, you still make them earn the points. And it should have backfired. It did backfire if Durant did not miss that free throw. It's just I believe it's an idiotic.
Well, the 3-point foul was really stupid. Like the goal to foul somebody like on the floor and get 2 points, I get. But like what Reggie and Dorian, I think it was Dorian, right there was like, guys, like, What are we doing?
The players were psyched to foul. Yes, it was their fault, but they were psyched to foul. They were told 5 times, foul, foul, foul. It happens. That's why it happens. That's why it happens. The other thing with Jason Kidd, did you see where Spencer Dinwiddie complained about being called the bitch ass by two brothers? So they asked Kidd at the post game about that,
and he didn't really comment. Yeah,
he did worse than that. He said Tony Brothers is a well-liked, universally well-liked referee and one of the best we have in the league. I have to speak to Spencer about that. What is he smoking? Tony Brothers from 1,000 miles away. I can tell that guy can't referee.
Yeah, Tony called a very poor game. That game.
He usually does.
Yeah.
Do I have something wrong? Is Tony Brothers really considered to be a good referee?
See, I think we'll agree. I think the whole chat will agree with this too. The moment we know a referee's name, the referee stops being good because the best referees are the referees you don't notice.
I know. It's all comparative, but the 4 or 5 games that I remember seeing him referee, maybe more, every time I thought this guy sucked more than everybody, than every other referee.
And it affected, like, it clearly sort of, I don't want to, play armchair psychologist too much, but Spencer had a kind of a brutal game. And it's that sort of thing was particularly curious. I'm not, so one thing I do got to kind of pick you on because you've been on this train for as long as anybody. What do you think about these Luka Doncic 30-point games, and when do you think they stop?
Kirk, I think Luka has a chance to be the best player of all time.
Love it.
He may not go down as that because he's had the misfortune of playing for 2 bad coaches already, and he has the misfortune of being on a Mark Cuban team where he hasn't played with an all-star yet, and my fear is that Luka is gonna, if he's not gonna leave. And let's face it, Kidd is not going to get fired for 2 or 3 years. It takes Cuban a long time to get something right. But if he's not going to leave, I'm afraid that Cuban is going to drag him down to the Dirk 1 title in 20 years level, and that's not Luka. Luka should be winning 5 titles in his career.
Well, they got so far last year, and this year it's just like one of the things that I keep kind of referencing is the fact that they've only lost these 3 games by 10 points, where I've not felt particularly good about I'm having a great time, don't get me wrong, but there's some real hey, these guys could be playing a hell of a lot better, and yet they're 6-3. So I had sort of figured out my position on this season was because of their lack of trade assets and the fact that they still owe the Knicks this pick in the coming draft. It was going to be kind of a take your medicine year. And yet the Mavericks are 6-3. So I don't know. This is a lot of fun. I think Luka could easily go 15 games of like 30 plus points in a row. Like, this is preposterous. I've never seen a basketball player score the ball like this.
Absolutely. And he's not even being selfish. And he's not even shooting the three well, except for tonight.
Tonight was great.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, some of those threes were that was fantastic.
And if he gets to his career average so far, like 36%, with the intermediate great accuracy that he has now forget it. It's 30 points is like the minimum, and he's not even being selfish. Well, many times today he passed off, and these guys they miss layups, they miss that. What else I was gonna say? Yeah. But Josh Green. I know you gave up on him a long time ago, but I told you this guy has potential. That's where the coaching really matters. Josh Green, both Carlisle and Kidd sucked as coaches.
Carlisle hung him out to dry.
Yeah. And Kidd is not a great developer. Doesn't really develop.
Gotta like that we're giving him minutes, though. I really,
that's good.
Frank Ntilikina was back tonight, and that seemed like, a prime opportunity to give that guy minutes, and they just stuck with Josh, and I like that.
That's good. But I believe that Josh Green would have blossomed earlier, and I don't know if he's blossoming now, but he's got potential. There's no question. But he's got to have the right coaching.
Well, if he gives the Mavericks anything this year consistently, I know we're all really excited about it right now, but if these minutes that he gets now pay off in March and April, they pay off in May, and I'm looking forward to that.
He's the only great athlete on the Mavs, other than Luka being a great athlete, being with body control and all that. But he'll play great defense. He's got real potential. He should be playing even more. Should be playing 30 minutes a game, I believe.
That's tough, though. That's tough at the moment. Well, my friend, I hope you join us after a particularly bad loss so that we can actually bitch and get that out of our system.
Listen, as you see, I can bitch just as well.
Right, it's tough. Like, we've not really, like, the Oklahoma City loss, I was just like a rage blackout for about 3 hours. But this is fun. So.
Okay. It's great talking to you.
You too, friend. We'll talk soon.
Have a good night.
All right. We're going to fly through people now. So I had to give Akiva a little bit of runway. I am friends with his son-in-law, Josh, and I wanted him back in the room. Now we got somebody who was at the game, my man Taylor, who is with that Vince Young profile photo. I'm so jealous. Tell me, what was going on in the game tonight? What was the arena like?
Hey, man, it was awesome. First, I want to say condolences to Akiva and his for losing his father. May his memory be a blessing. That's tough. We love to hear him being in this room, but tonight was awesome. It's late game, so like it took a while for people to fill in, but man, they're late in the fourth quarter. It was incredible. Couple of things I noticed from the game. Seeing KD face guard Luka 40 feet from the basket in the first quarter was just an ultimate sign of respect. And it was a couple times where Luka, KD was guarding him 40 feet from the basket, and Luka was walking back, being like, "Come on, man, that's not cool." And they just kind of laughed with each other. But it was one of those things where you saw that one of the greatest players of his generation was just giving him that sort of respect. Couple other things. Sucked to see Tim get hurt because that first half, Tim looked like
Tim. He looked like the Tim we were excited to see.
He really did. And he was getting. And I texted my buddies this is a Tim game because he was just in his bag. And when that jump shot's fallen, because he gets so much elevation with that jump shot, but when it's fallen, it looks like it's never not going to fall. And he just starts playing with that level of confidence. That was so great to see. It sucked to see him go down like that. I mean, that looks to be a pretty severe, not pretty severe. I mean, maybe just a couple weeks, but man, that his legs just the way he slipped and went into his splits, that did not look comfortable whatsoever.
No, the look on Luka's face when it happened, there was a baseline shot on the camera where they showed basically from I don't know, it's one of those cameras that's midway in the tunnel, I guess, and they showed Tim slipping and Luka's face. He just goes the cringe.
Ooh, yeah, he gives that grimace.
It was rough.
Yeah, I mean, it just like, I mean, he went straight out, like 180 degrees, his legs. It was tough. And it really sucked because this looked like the first game where he was playing with, because like he's always the kind of guy like he's going to keep shooting, but when those shots start falling, and he was attacking closeouts, doing that 1-2 dribble. I think he had a couple like 1-2 dribble floaters. And like that's when you know he's really starting to feel it in his bag, where he's starting to make those kind of those quick reaction plays on attacking closeouts.
What he was doing was there were 2 plays, and they were each from Josh Green.
That's where I wanted to get to next.
One was kind of a broken play where Green ends up underneath the bucket, and Tim relocates to the corner, open, catch and shoot.
Yep.
Tim as a catch and shoot guy is where Tim thrives. The dribbling shit drives me nuts because he tries to play make. His balance isn't as good. But when Tim just catches and fires is when it worked. And I don't feel like Tim has gotten near enough chances this year. Maybe that's not fair. Actually, he kind of has gotten a lot of chances. But they haven't gone down. But it was just nice to see the 2 catch and fire situations coming from, where he wasn't doing the thing where we've seen in these earlier games where he's kind of like the offensive focal point. And that I just don't ever think that's his game.
Yeah, we're not putting him in situation to succeed whenever he's in that situation. There's some other situations where he relocated to the corner. Guys attacked him hard on the closeout because he had made a couple shots, and then he was able to attack the closeout, put the ball on the floor once or twice, and get in and put up a shot or put up a floater. And that's a situation you want him to be in, not necessarily trying to create his own shot all the time. So, it's just really a bummer that he got injured. Hopefully it's not too extreme. These guys are freaks of nature, like in terms of how their muscles like respond to stuff. So if that happened to me, I would not walk I would be in surgery tonight. Like,
Oh God, no.
Right.
It's just like I'm thinking about the other game. It sucked.
Yeah. But, hopefully he comes back and but it was great to see him get into a rhythm. The other couple of things I saw, obviously, like we were talking about tonight, I legitimately think this is Josh Green's best game as a Maverick. He looks like a different player. Too.
Yeah. Like that's why I get a little sassy about these games, like against the Rockets, where he has 10 jump pass assists.
Yeah,
it wasn't. Nets, that's a grinded out game where his points mattered. Is important to me.
100%. And he was especially with Tim being out. I mean, he was in the game the entire way down the stretch, and not only in the first and second, or the first 3 quarters. The fact that he was in at the end of the game tells me a lot in terms of how much confidence that the staff has gained in him. Well, but obviously, we've all seen that his shot has gotten better. He's improved his footwork. He looks more confident on it. But also, he's just more assertive and decisive, attacking the basket and making his passes that we all knew he kind of has a good knack for passing. But he's just much more decisive on it. And he's just playing with a level of confidence that we haven't seen before. Yeah. And we need that, and we can all sit here and wish we had all these other guys, but
where he's going to let, so we have to sort of be honest about the offense. He's not going to continue to have 85% shooting nights. That's not reasonable just because it's basketball. But what he can do every night is play good defense, and he has. The Kevin Durant defense was really fun to watch.
Yeah, and nights like this give him the confidence to play through bad nights. We all remember whenever he was playing in the Jazz series when he just stopped looking at the basket and was literally running away from the basket at times. But nights like this will give him confidence to when his shot's not falling, to keep playing with some sort of assertiveness and decisiveness, and to not be a total just black hole on the offensive end.
Yeah, because if the defense guards you, there's downhill effects for your teammates.
Exactly, right. And then that and his energy on defense and in transition and his active hands on the weak side, all those things are great, but if he gets so in a block, like in his own head with his on the offensive end, and you could put Rudy Gobert on him and he can play 25 feet off of him.
Well,
it becomes unplayable. But it's nights like these that will give him the confidence to keep being assertive and keep taking good shots, rather than just completely kind of like caving. And so
there was the drive and there was the contested three. It was top right corner of the screen for me as I was watching. The contested three is the sort of thing that's going to stick with me because number one, he doesn't take contested threes.
Yep.
So the fact that he pulled the trigger, whether it went in or not, felt good for me because he's got to be a threat to shoot. That it went in is really cool. And I watched Dorian be terrible for years. Dorian was bad. Like
those were
Dorian
awful. All these people all these Luka fans, I mean, like I'll take all the fans we can get, but we were in the pits watching the development of Dorian Finney-Smith, and it was not easy. And that's what like always sucks is like Dorian got, you always say he started 42 games his rookie year when he was a bad offensive player. And that's the kind of development that he got to be the guy that we love today.
Yep.
And so it's hard to expect Josh to get there, but I think now we're seeing the sorts of growth that like it will take for him to be he can clearly be a valuable rotational piece. But it's nice to see that, he's made a bit of a leap and it's also, we could say what we want about kids, tactical deficiencies, but I think it's one thing it's unfair to say about him is that he's not a developer. I think he is very much a developer. And I think that like that Josh's improvement's is kind of case in point for that. Sure. And so, that's it. And then the other thing I was going to say is that what kind of sucks is, Spencer and Wood do not have much chemistry at all in the pick and roll. Yeah, and like I don't want to be a negative Nelly on like whenever we have a great win tonight, but I think that's going to be something to watch in terms of how we kind of because Wood is so much better offensively when he's on the floor with Luka, and like I love Spencer as a player and as a dude, but he's not necessarily a true creator for other players. And so, right now that's kind of the secondary pairing to put them on the floor together to try to like be the kind of create offense for the second unit when Luka's out.
Well, Spencer just needs to pass the damn ball.
Yeah. But it's also I think a guy at his age who's been in the league for that long with his game, like
he's been cooking
it's hard
with gas from three. He's been hitting like 50% of his threes. So when
he's crypto Curry right now.
Yeah. So like when they don't go like they didn't go tonight, he's 1 of 8. It just sucks.
Yeah. And it's like at a certain point a guy is who a guy is.
Sure.
He's 30. I guess he's 30 now. He's been in the league for a long time. It's like we can't really expect him to just guys at that point don't develop all of a sudden making crisp passes and like seeing the floor and tossing dope like lobs. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of figure out the rotations with Wood. But also come back to Wood, like he played hard today. He played hard on defense. Like it wasn't his game to like go out there and get buckets, but like it was nice to see that he played hard and like it'll be interesting. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see how we kind of like piece together time with Luka and him on the floor to get him rolling. But yeah, that's my piece, Kirk. I'll let you go because I'm sure you got plenty of other guys that want to come up and talk. Like I always say, I love that you do this, and we all appreciate the work you do.
Thanks for hanging out. Talk soon. All right. Who else we got? Chris, you're complaining about you want to go to bed.
I'm like, actually, I was going to go to bed right after the game. I had my phone on silent, so I like to miss the first 12 minutes of the green room, but I got a second win, but yeah, I'm about to crash out. This is the times we got to enjoy. I mean, we're on a 4-game winning streak. Could easily be 9-0 right now. I mean, things are looking good. We're winning in the clutch. We're winning against good teams. The whole Thunder loss kind of sucked, but I mean, we're winning close games though. This is the key. And we beat the Nets twice, and one of them with Kyrie and Durant both playing great, and we still ended up winning. Things are just looking good. And I'm just looking at the standings here, and I know Utah's going to come down to earth eventually. I mean, we could easily, realistically, be a top 4 team still. Maybe even get that 3rd seed like we needed last time. I mean,
that's
I can't say at best we can get number 1 seed, but damn, with the way that Luka's playing, I don't know. And
let's just go through the games real quick. Orlando, Washington, Portland, Clippers, Houston, Denver. Then they play kind of a murderous stretch where they play Boston, Toronto, Milwaukee, Golden State. But out of those games, I don't see, there's not a clear reason why they shouldn't, there's nothing on like right now that I'm looking at that makes me think that there's not a schedule loss amongst those, if that makes sense.
And a lot of these guys have been together, so we've known the last couple of years, these little trap games. I mean, I think they've kind of learned from their mistakes. You can't just go in and expect that you're just going to win. I mean, just what happened this season against the Thunder at home. I mean, anything could happen. So I am still concerned about the whole need another playmaker thing. Spencer's fine. He's a good player, but damn, it just a lot of. I mean, how many turnovers did we have tonight? Like
22. Turnovers have been a problem recently.
I mean, we escaped from this. I mean, with Durant missing a free throw, he made like 62 straight free throws. I mean, even Derek Harper kind of got a shout out to him. He kind of gave us one there. He even said, he was like, I think he's going to miss it. And right when he said that, he missed it. I don't think he said at the juncture, though. So, but yeah, shout out to Harper for that commentator curse.
It happens every now and again.
Yeah. But like I said, Utah, I just don't see them being that team. Portland, they're pretty good, but they've been winning some games at the buzzer too.
Portland's feisty, but I think like that's a game where it's like the Luka score 60 challenge. Like they don't have a single dude that's going to bother him. He's going to put their defenders in a blender.
Yeah. And, Minnesota sucks, Thunder sucks, Kings suck. I mean, Sacramento or San Antonio. I mean, we're seriously like one of the best teams in the West. I mean, it's just, just got to enjoy this winning streak. We've got a couple bad teams coming up. You just got to take care of business, feast on the East, But yeah, they've got to do something about getting another playmaker. I'm hoping they can find a way to get Durant with this whole drama thing that's going on. I mean, we probably don't have the assets for it, but maybe some team.
Watch, man, isn't he good? He's just so good.
Yeah,
he's so good at basketball.
After the game, they were briefly talking.
Oh,
I was like,
what would he be like with Luka?
Maybe Luka's like, hey, come to the Mavs. Like they were talking briefly right after the game. I was just like, man, if we had KD, that'd be nuts. Is there anybody else you would think? I mean, you probably get this question asked all the time. Anybody in the league right now you realistically think that we could get?
No. And it's just because of the way the trade assets are locked up. Like everybody's friend Dalton, wonderful guy. He has these trade scenario options, and it's not that I just don't see any of them happening because it's such a leverage point. It's plus it's like, would you want to mess with a good thing right now?
Yeah, that's true. Just keep racking up wins, and then maybe a team, I don't know, goes in super tank mode, and you can be in a position to do like a 3-way trade or something like, or a 3-team trade, or I mean, you get somebody to help out Luka a little bit. But when it comes to playoffs, I mean, the ball's going to be in his hands most of the time. We just need somebody else that can take the ball down occasionally, and kind of like with what he's doing. But I mean, we just pray to God Luka doesn't get hurt, because this team,
sure, when
he's on the floor, obviously it's kind of a mess. So, but just keep enjoying these wins, and let's just get another one on Wednesday. What are we on Monday? I'm so wiped out right now.
I am too. No, that's why this game starting at 9:00 on a Monday is a war crime.
Yeah, I'm so discombobulated. But yeah, let's get another win on Wednesday.
All right, talk soon, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let's fly through some folks here. Ewan, my East Coast man, get your takes off.
What's up?
Welcome.
Yeah, go in. I want to give Jay-Z his credit, and then I'm gonna take it back. So as I was watching the game, I'm like, you can tell the first 2 minutes of the fourth quarter is like, all right, this is gonna get out of hand. So I'm like, listen, Luka got to go back in at least by the 8-minute mark, and he made the right thing. He put him in with 8:40 left. So I'm like, all right, there you go. That's some coaching, you know what I'm saying? And
sure. It's not being a slave to the rotation.
Right. And then, he rolled that for as long as it could. And I'm like, all right, got to 2 minutes now. 2 minutes, like the last 2 minutes in the NBA game is like an hour in real life. It just drags. So it's like that last 2 minutes is like, okay, that group did the best they could. Okay, now you got to get a secondary. Now you got to put Spencer back in because, they're going to try to clog Luka as much as they can. And you saw with those, few sloppy turnovers down towards the end because those guys handling the ball, they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, you rode that group, which you was right. You did what you're supposed to do. 2 minutes time, bring back a second ball handler to help Luka out. But I mean, other than that, I love the game, man. It was a great game. I heard all the points about Josh Green, so that's good. In regards to us talking about Wood and his minutes, it may be Josh Green that start getting all those minutes because it's like there's no expectation from Josh Green really offensively. So he's going to give you what he's going to give you on defense. If he shoots it and he doesn't miss, and he missed, well, we're not losing too much. But his effort is going to stay on the defense. Now with Wood is like, if he shoots and he's missing, he's not having a bad offensive game, the other end may not be there like how Josh Green is. So it's kind of like you're in a win-win situation with how Josh Green is.
Yep.
So far this year, he's going to play great defense. So far this year, I saw he's looking. He's, his defense is pretty good, and he's adding that offensive repertoire. It's like it's hard to keep him off the floor. It's hard.
Well, so Kevin Gray Sports, who does some stuff for 105.3 The Fan here in Dallas, had some tweets this morning. I'm not going to read them verbatim just because I can't find them. But it was basically talking about how, through a source told him that the Mavericks expect more from Wood defensively if he wants more minutes. He's going to have to earn it through the defensive stuff. And being, the consistent. And really, I'm not even sure it's effort. I think it's actually learning the defensive rotations because they were flying all over the floor tonight with lots of like help and recover stuff. And frankly, that's the sort of thing. That's where I think like Wood's in a bit of a catch-22 because he needs the minutes to figure out. He needs to he's not going to make the right choice every time unless he gets the minutes. But he's not going to get the minutes unless he makes the right choice every time. So something's sort of got to give there, I think. But I don't know. I like what I saw. I'm not watching these games going, oh, my God, Christian Wood's not doing anything on defense.
Yeah, I mean, with the last game, it was in the fourth quarter around like the 5-6 minute mark where him and Tim Hardaway was on the court together. And you can see the confusion between him and Tim Hardaway.
Tim Hardaway gets confused at everything. There are gifs out there of Tim doing he's just spinning in a circle.
Yeah, but both of them together was just a bad few minutes. So you can tell the frustration, and you can see on the highlights that they got confused and they was talking to each other like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what am I supposed to do? And then at that point, J-Kid took both of them out, and then you can see that Wood was a little bit frustrated. But like you said, he needs the minutes to play, but the time he's in the game, it's like it's a critical time. So it's kind of like you can't risk it, leaving him out there and having those mistakes continuing to happen. You got to go with the guys that kind of know where to be and how to rotate and whatnot. But other than that, like with Luka, it's like when it comes to like the betting, the betting man's game, like Luka's like the sure lock every night for 30 points over any other.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I want to say I saw one over under for point total at 33.5 tonight, and he still beat it. It's like, what in the world? Yeah,
he's a lock. He's a lock because he's just a lock for the rest of the year, pretty much, unless we get someone else. And lastly, you can see where we miss Brunson. When we say like the playmaking aspect of it is not the careless turnovers, and we had like 22 turnovers today, so it's like we need to sort that out. We need to get that sorted out. But other than that, we want to keep rolling, man. Keep rolling. So,
well, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you.
Sure.
All right. Talk soon.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
All right, coming up next then, we got my guy, Mr. Dang. We're gonna get to everybody tonight, guys. By the way, we're unless we have like 400 person rooms where I got like way too many people. I'm gonna stay up late with you guys. So, Mr. Dang, what's happening?
Hey, Kirk. Hey.
Welcome.
Thanks for staying up, man. Kid was my favorite player when we had the 3Js, but I can't stand teetering on this edge when we don't need to be. We've been very lucky in these close games, but it's going to revert to losing if we keep on making the same mistakes,
Oh, couldn't find my mute button. Tonight felt like new mistakes. I don't know how to describe that correctly. It was just like watching this game. It was like where those corner threes happened. Kind of they felt like bad luck much more than bad process. Like they let their foot off the gas a little bit early versus some of these leads in the fourth quarter where they've had like 15, 20-point leads, and then it just evaporates. Like that was like 2 quick shots, and then the Nets are right there. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think you're right. It's just the timeout could have been good at, when they were making that 11-0 run, have that timeout maybe at 7-0 run, because you could see the slouching of the shoulders, with so many people, I mean, that's when my coach would say, hey, that's when I needed to make a timeout, when morale was
Sure.
bad. And
Am I making your phone beep when I talk? Is that on me?
I think so.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, there's some good things that happened. At least Green played. But Bullock is just ass right now. Holy cow.
Well, he'll figure it out. We just need to give him time.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Kirk. I'm going to let other people speak. I'm really tired, too.
Sure thing, though. I don't know. That's funny. It's like it sounded like something was beeping every time I spoke. Okay, Logan. Logan. What's up, buddy?
How's it going, Kirk?
Don't tell me you're hanging out in our chat. Are we writing anything tonight? I don't have anything to write. My brain is toast.
Oh, I'm going to tomorrow. Well, I feel like I want to see if there's anything from this game, but I was, what. I just keep having this, like, are we good? Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's been a confusing start of, like, there's so many things you can say to either justify feeling positive or to feel negative. And I'm usually someone who tries to be really objective and stay even keeled. So I'm just kind of like, have no idea how good we are.
I have no idea. So I have an idea of how good we are. I have no idea how bad we can be. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
At this point last year, the Mavericks had their asses served to them 3 or 4 times. We're talking like brutal double-digit losses.
Yeah, and we haven't had one of those.
No, we've not had one of those. So I'm normally really grossly pessimistic. And the Thunder game really did something to me in that regard. But I'd much rather, like, there are going to be games like these, frankly, guys, there's enough like evidence over the course of a season where there's like 5 to 7 games every year, if they're like this close, that are earnestly toss-ups. Like the 2006, 2007 Dallas Mavericks won 67 games, but had a preposterous record in clutch time. That sort of thing tends to revert over the course of the year. So unless the Mavericks figure out some of their crunch time woes, I think some of the clutch time stats where, honestly, I don't know if it favors the Mavericks, but they have clutch time wins. I think that sort of reverts. But I also think it's better to be lucky than good, and you win these games right now and then figure out what sort of your woes are. Like the shooting stuff, for example, Reggie's not going to shoot this bad.
No.
Like Dorian started to figure it out. And that gives Josh Green space to where when he comes back down to earth,
exactly,
we're no longer like needing him to shoot 1,000% from 3.
It's the same for Spencer as he comes down. Like, honestly, this is kind of what it was like last year. I mean, it's like Luka in the playoffs, we got used to, it was like Brunson was the number 2 option and he was our number 2 leading scorer throughout the season after KP got traded. But really it was a lot of like, Luka is the center of everything and different guys popped every night. And Brunson would have like 14, 14, 14, 8, 24, but it never felt like he had to be locked in as like the number 2 option until the playoffs. And I think that's just kind of what we look like right now. I think that question of how good we are is like someone's going to have to be that consistent number 2. Like this can work the way it's worked. We'll win some close games. You'll lose other close games. But I mean, that's why I keep coming back to the Wood thing, which I'm not even sure how many minutes did he play tonight. Do you know it off the top of your head?
I do not. I should, but I just closed out of my ESPN window.
He didn't seem like he was in good rhythm. I mean, really, it seemed like he was trying to create his own a lot just to try to like put his imprint on the game.
Yep.
And I think so besides Luka doing Luka stuff, I don't feel like we're extremely organized with our game plan, which is crazy that we're like first in offense, because I don't feel like I think Luka is a big part of that, almost all of it, because besides that, I don't feel like we're very organized. Dinwiddie doesn't keep us very organized. He doesn't really help Wood and find Wood in his spots. And in general, I feel like that's where we miss Brunson. It's not just the turnovers, which like 22 turnovers, obviously it'd help with that, but like he would make a concerted effort to make sure Wood was like within the flow of the game. That's the kind of like player Brunson is, very cerebral. And I'm trying to figure out how we basically create that organization. And it kind of goes for everything in the macro sense. Like I felt like when we were at our best last year, we knew who our closing 5 were. We knew who, and I'm wondering if maybe once this stuff kind of just locks in and Kid doesn't really have an option to get galaxy brained, because this is kind of what happened last year, things will feel sturdier as they feel like last year it was out of necessity because we just weren't deep enough. But I'm just wondering if like there's a certain kind of like flow to rotations and flow to how the offense runs outside of just Luka being a superhero, because our best minutes besides Luka's superhero minutes are Dwight Powell, Josh Green, everything gets mucky. The other team's bench kind of sucks 2 minutes. And that's not sustainable, you know?
Well, one of the things that would really cure this ill, and this is not a complaint, though it is going to sound like one.
Goran Dragic?
No, it's that Spencer Dinwiddie has been so good in some of these isolation opportunities that he's not needed to do other stuff. But like tonight when he was terrible, he needed to get more people involved.
Yeah, I don't know if it still stands, but like 4 games ago, he was like 4th in isolation possessions in the league.
Right. And that sort of stuff turns like it's going to regress. And it just is the nature of basketball.
Yeah, like tonight. I mean, it's the regression point for that. See, I guess that's part of my thing with Wood is like, I think other people have considered maybe that Dinwiddie could just be Jalen Brunson, or I've never expected Spencer Dinwiddie to be our second option. And so like, it's not even just about playing Wood more. Like that can come in time. And those quotes to me about him playing better defense, it did sound like they realize, oh, our ceiling involves him being like very central to what happens and playing more minutes. They just want him to get the defense up. But like, I guess I feel like we're kind of just going back and forth between it's like him or Spencer, whoever the focus on the non-Luka offense is. And I've just it's not that I don't like Spencer. I do like him. I just don't think that's what he needs to be. You know what I mean? I think it's too much pressure on him. But I don't think Wood trying to do it on his own is the right thing either. It's got to be synergistic between him and Luka, which it's been like 9 games, but I guess that's just like the only thing I see us. I'm trying to find ways that we get better, and we can't just make a ball handler come out of thin air. So I'm like, it's basically making sure Wood is like synergistically a part of everything we're doing on offense, rather than like every once in a while he decides to take someone off the dribble and make something happen, and hopefully it works out. You know what I mean?
Yes, 100%.
But and I guess Josh Green, I just wanted to say that actually, like after the lottery, he might turn out to be a good pick. Like the Bane thing, he's never going to be able to live it down with like our fans, but if he shoots and he's a 3-and-D guy, like some of the people picked around him who have been better than him, like an Isaiah Stewart. Isaiah Stewart doesn't really seem like the type of, I mean, doesn't profile as a playoff player. Like he's He's a non-rim protecting, non-shooting big, right? Like Montrezl Harrell could never really make it in the playoffs. And you look at some other guys in that range, and just like if you can get a guy who is a legit 3-and-D, even if he's not that good, like Pat Connaughton played 30 minutes plus on the Bucks title team. That's a success for Josh Green. So I think some people are like, oh, he's not going to be our third option. What a failure. And other people are like, are you sure he can't be our third option in a couple of years? And it's like, no, it's very likely neither. And it's like really good if he's Bruce Brown. You know what I mean? So,
well, I don't really even think about like a couple of years. Like when you have a superstar, I'm not thinking about a couple of years. I'm thinking about this year. And what's nice about this year is that to date, through 9 games, I feel like he can give Dallas real minutes. That's all I want. Real minutes.
Yeah. Well, and people won't want to once it gets to this point if he keeps playing this well. But wings like that, I mean, everybody needs them. So he'll quickly become the
Lord, yes. Yes,
so.
Because he's you know, I know it's way too early for us to even have like a trade-based discussion, but you go from saying, well, who's going to want Josh Green to going, Josh Green?
Yeah.
Like that, that's a real thing.
I mean, the Nets traded a first-round pick for Royce O'Neal, and I would what we've seen.
Josh Green's better than Royce O'Neal.
Exactly, he just is. So it's like at that point, I'm not saying we're gonna. And people need to like. I feel like we need to stop thinking about stars and start thinking about what kind of like just okay ball handler that could actually like really help this team. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, but that's all. I guess I'll let other people get on.
Appreciate you, buddy. Have a good night. I just yawned so ridiculously. Apologize for that. DJ, long time.
Hey, what's up, Kirk? Can you hear me?
I can. You sound great. Welcome back.
So I was actually I was at the game, and I sat directly behind the Nets bench, and it was honestly one of the better games I've been to in a while. A couple of good things, and I got a couple of bad points as well. First of all, I take back every mean thing I've ever said about Josh Green in the past, because this was clearly the best game he's ever played as a Maverick, and probably the best game I've ever seen him play live altogether.
I think that's a fair take. I think we would probably have some folks wanting to talk about Utah Game 3, but I think in terms of being handed open shots versus playing defense and playing a complete game, I prefer this one because I think you can project more about what you can hope from him in the future on this game.
Absolutely. And just his overall play, not necessarily just the scoring, but, you know, his defense has improved. His just overall awareness is just so much better than what it used to be. And it's honestly very pleasant to watch. And Luka was obviously, you know, he was in God mode again. The 3-pointers, I think they're going to come around with him, just like they've had the last 2 years, where he starts off kind of slow, and then next thing you know, he's making the most threes in the league by the end of the year. And I think we saw a glimpse of that tonight, but I think overall I'm not, you know, worried about his shooting or scoring or anything like that because he's averaging 35 points a game.
Yes. Sorry. Big yawn again. I'm getting old. So really, I'm jealous you got to go to this one. I'm actually going to the Portland game Saturday, hoping for another kind of barn burner. The atmosphere seemed like it was real fun. Probably looked like the best home atmosphere I've seen from a Mavs crowd in a while.
Oh man, the Nets assistant coaches just would not stop looking around, turning around and hearing me scream and like saying, "Lock him up, Joe, lock him up." when Dorian Finney-Smith was like guarding Kevin Durant or something, and he just nails the shot in his face. I'm just like, ugh. But it was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed myself. And one more good point. Speaking of, Dorian Finney-Smith, this was I think this was a breakout game for him this season. Because he's honestly done a bunch of nothing up until this point. And just to see him get back to the level he was playing at last year was also a good thing to see.
Clutch free throws. We're not even talked about him. It's an hour into it. Dorian Green.
Yes.
Dorian Finney-Smith with some clutch free throws. Love to see it.
Yeah, it was awesome. And a couple of the bad points that I've had with this one. Spencer Dinwiddie was just he wasn't effective tonight. I'm not sure if it was just him trying to find his rhythm or just, he just had a bad night. But yeah, it was the first game this year where he was just completely ineffective. And, his game, we all know like his game throughout the years has just been, inefficiency. He gets his points off pure skill. And tonight we just didn't see the efficiency that he has played with since he's been in Dallas. And it doesn't concern me too much, but it's just something to watch.
Sure.
And the last thing is just we had a polite disagreement about the JaVale McGee signing. And I'm sorry, Kirk, you were totally right about that. Like this guy, like he's not terrible. He just brings a bunch of nothing. And
I still think there's hope
uninspiring.
for him. Like he's making too much money for them to just do nothing with him. I not to placate the dude's bullshit, but like the lob Spencer threw him to start the game was such awful mess. And then like Luka leads him with a pass where he takes a hook shot from behind the backboard, and it's like, guys, like stop putting this dude in a position to fail. First of all, but some of that's on him too. Goes both ways.
Yeah, definitely. And I got one more thing, and then I'll be done. Christian Wood tonight, he also just, his impact wasn't felt. Like his impact is hit or miss, if we're being honest. But tonight, he couldn't really get it going. And I felt like a bunch of times tonight, he just tried to force the issue, and it just wasn't really there for him. But hopefully he can just, try to stay focused and keep trying to do the right things and keep learning the system and try to earn his keep here.
I agree. I'm still pretty bullish on him over the long term, and if they can win games without needing 25 points from him, then all the better.
Yep, I totally agree. But that's all I got for tonight. Thanks for having me up, Kirk.
Sure thing. Talk soon. All right, we got 5 more folks. We're gonna get to each and every one of you. Ruben, what do you got for us, friend?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, man, what a win. I swear this is like one of the best Mavs games I've seen in a while, just because I haven't heard anybody bring up Josh Green got in KD's head. And I'm thanking him for that missed free throw. That was insane. Who would have thought KD is like I don't know, trying to charge up Josh Green of all people. I couldn't have called that one. But yeah, great game. And a couple things I did see. You hit it right on the head. I feel like J Kidd is putting Seawood in positions to fail. Like, hey, this is your guy. Oh, he's not working out. And I feel like he was a little off because we keep pushing JaVale McGee's minutes down, and it's random. And he played 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
It felt like you ever get in an argument with somebody, you try to prove a very specific point only to have that shit thrown in your face almost immediately. That was what starting Wood was tonight. It was Kidd being like, well, we're just going to play the matchups. It's important. Like, what about this matchup called for JaVale McGee? Nothing.
Yes. Callie Kaplan posted that, and I think she asked a question, and just matchup. I'm like, what matchup are you seeing where it is necessary to start JaVale McGee?
But you know what? Luka was like, get this young man out.
Yes. And that if Kidd wants to keep his job, that's not a good sign. If Luka's calling your sub-ins, just start them in from the get-go. So it hasn't been 10 games yet. We're in a great position. Phoenix lost, Memphis lost, Spurs lost, another team, Bucks finally lost, so the commentators can stop saying, oh, well, he's undefeated. He has to be the favorite in MVP.
It's tough, man. Giannis looks like what's the God of War game? Like the dude just mowing through.
Yeah, he's
like,
pretty much
he is
Kronos
just
on the
terrifying.
court. but then they he's undefeated. He has to be the number one. No, that's gone. You got Luka. What is this? His 8th game scoring that many points.
The Utah Jazz are the number 1 seed in the like what?
And that's what that's what I'm saying. That like all the good teams have lost tonight, and it's just like if we keep this streak going, it's by the end of 2 weeks, like Mavs could be number 1 if everything falls right. But a couple things I did want to say. I do want after the 10th game, okay, J Kid, you've had your 10-game experimental thing. We need to see. I'm sorry, Josh Green Island has a resort on it now. It has a Sandals or whatever you want to call it, a Disney World and everything on it. We gotta get Reggie Bullock switched with Josh Green, and we do not need to see McGee ever in the starting lineup. I want to see Josh Green and Seawood in the starting lineup. The reason we keep falling inches and we have to like hold our breaths towards the fourth quarter, it is a game of inches. If you miss free throws early in the game, you will end up in a barn burner in the end. And we keep digging ourselves in holes in the first quarter. Those are energy points that at the end of the game, there's like 2, maybe 1 point wins. We are starting the game without our best foot forward. And I hope J Kidd can get over like, well, JaVale McGee was my guy. I'm going to give him every chance.
Well,
no,
I think it's going to be Powell too. Is the real thing. I really do think it's going to be Powell, just because Luka seems to have that little oomph going on with him. And granted, I would like to see the minute distribution be about the same, where you play Powell like 3-4 minutes max, and then get Wood in there. But I don't know if we're going to see that.
I just want Wood to get in a groove as a starter. If you get both Luka and Seawood going right from the jump, then we will see more blowouts. I guarantee you we will not have nail biters. We won't have to put him in at weird times, because every time he gets in, like since, after his 25 pointers games, that's when JaVale McGee's minutes started to get, he doesn't even know when he's getting in. So he's coming in cold, and tonight the refs were just not calling. And I think I DM'd you and you were like, I was like, attack. And then refs are just not, you said it. You were like, refs are not just.
Luka had 6 free throws in the first quarter. So he played 38 total minutes. Over the next 28 minutes, he got 6 free throws, including 2 that were in like the final seconds. So he really went 20. He just didn't get a lot of calls. Like, he was getting mugged at points. And that's just going to happen.
Yep.
It's going to happen sometimes.
Yep. Spence was getting mugged. C. Wood was getting mugged. I didn't know how many free throw attempts they had, but it wasn't many. But I swear, once we couldn't call it. We didn't know Josh Green was gonna look like this. This man shot 100% tonight, and these were play. These weren't like just open regular. Oh, these are pass them to the open man. No, he made stuff happen, and you could tell. I think one person said, was it Brent? I'm not sure, but this was like one of the first nights you could actually see Luka like, hey, huddle up. No, get him off the court, bring in my guy, keep Josh here. Josh closed the game, which blew my mind. And the reason I did love watching this game, it was KD. It was coming down to the end, but KD and Luka on each other. It's like, I mean, I would have paid anything to see that, like just be able to sit on the court and watch them like go at it. But I do credit Josh Green for that missed free throw, and Harper, because he said something that jinxed him, and everybody was like, yes. I forgot who tweeted it. The Harper on defense. I was like, yes. But every game is going to look like that until we get our starting lineup fixed. And it's so simple. I just need J Kidd to get out of his own, was a galaxy brain. Like, hey, we don't need you to overthink this. You got the guys. You just have to play them. But great game. Josh Green is looking like a beast this season, man. Like, who would have thought he would have been like the number 1 3-point shooter in the league? That's Klay Thompson stats right there, man. But I love this team. Like how we're playing, and yeah, a lot of good teams lost tonight. I'm not even sure where we're at right now, but it's got to be like 4 or 3.
The Mavericks finally play a real NBA schedule at this point in terms of volume of games because they play one game tonight, Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday back to back, then a Saturday game. Like the normal NBA schedule is 3 to 4 games a week. We've had 2 weeks to start the year where we play 2 games. It's why, so I'm sure a lot of people are pissy Luka's not player of the week or whatnot. Well, it's because the Mavericks only played 8 games.
And like they play 1 game a week.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out, Ruben. Man.
No problem. Have a good one.
You too. All right, let's keep going. Keep it going. Krishna, what's up, man? Krishna, you there? You awake? Maybe not. Maybe not. We'll give him a second. Maybe invite him back up here in a second. I got to fly through some folks and see what's up. Will, what's happening? Hit that unmute button for us. There we go. Give him a second here.
You hear me now?
Tired.
Good shit. Oh, man, I've got some notes in here, but I'm several beers deep
perfect.
now.
So just try to read your own handwriting while drunk. Done it many a time. Sometimes things aren't what you thought you were.
The first note that I have is all capital letters, Josh motherfucking Green.
No, yeah. That's a good note.
Man, meaningful minutes. Like you've been saying this for a long time. We just need real minutes from him. And he just does everything. It is like it's positive chaos now every time he steps on the court. And I love it. Like I'm gonna buy a jersey.
Well, you should like watching players. It's much more fun to like them than be mad at them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And most of the time, to this point, most of the time it has been anger towards Josh Green. But this season so far, every time he steps on the court, it's great. I have not been mad at a minute of Josh Green possession so far. Something that has really been pissing me off though, and especially was apparent tonight, is like the way that we keep everybody keeps looking off Christian Wood, and it makes me mad as hell. Like nobody will pass this man the damn ball other than Luka.
Yeah, that's kind of who he's playing with though, where they run into issues like that.
Yeah. And like I haven't been a big Christian Wood needs to start like that hasn't really been my mindset with this team so far. Like I think like I understand the problems with the defense, and like he's probably not a starting 5 on a really, really good team. Like that's something that we'll have to figure out long term. But right now he's our second best player, and he needs touches. He needs the ball in good spots, and we're not helping him there.
Sure.
And it's very, very frustrating. Like I saw, which I didn't watch the first half of tonight's game, but from what I saw, it just really felt like it was just like every time he got the ball, he felt the need to go get his own shot because we've been looking at it. And like I understand that he can force it because he can legitimately get his own shot. He can take it off the dribble. He can he can catch the ball inside the 3-point line and just run at the basket, and good things will happen. But that's not what needs to happen with him, and it's very frustrating to watch for sure.
Yeah.
But two other things that I have that I noticed was that Luka's shot, which this is really the first time that his shot has looked really good this season, but it looked quick tonight. The release looked really quick, and I liked that. And also, he does not like Ben Simmons.
No, love it. This is a great point this far into the podcast. Does not like that man.
everyone says like Ben's the best matchup in the league for Luka, and I just love Luka does not give a shit.
No. Well,
It's
I feel
amazing.
Ben Simmons is also just a physical shell of himself. Between the back injury, the fact that he's not improved anything, and the fact that he's a bit of a wackadoo, like
Yeah, I've seen a lot of trade talks, like people wanting to trade for him for like Timmy and even Timmy and Bertans. I want THJ. I want him and Bertans off this roster, which I will say I do think that Bertans could possibly have use on this roster. But that's
I think
conversation
Bertans,
for another day.
I think Bertans' knee might be scrambled eggs is part of the problem.
Very possible. But there's still, if he's healthy, I think that he could have some use on this team. But anyways, I've seen trade talks for Ben Simmons, like Timmy and Bertans, and I don't even want that because Ben has years on his contract. I'm good on that. I'm good on paying that much money to a guy that just can't score.
Yeah. I understand.
Okay. Last thing that I will say. First time I came in here this season, I got cooked in the comments for saying that Spence shouldn't be a secondary ball handler. That take did not look bad tonight.
Nope.
That he's not a good enough decision maker to be a secondary ball handler. He's fine, and like the role that we envisioned for Tim Hardaway Jr. at the start of this season, Spence would thrive in that role, but he's not a backup point. Well, he's not a backup ball handler and playmaker. The man can't pass.
Yeah.
He's like he just doesn't make the right passes nearly ever. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, because if his shot's not falling, everything else goes sideways, I think. And tonight was kind of just a textbook example of that. So that's okay. They survived it. That's nice.
Yeah, that's we survived it, and that'll happen plenty of other times this season. I just worry it's too early to worry about the playoffs, but I worry about the playoffs because Spencer Dinwiddie is one of two people on this roster that can really actually dribble a basketball, and like that's not good because he can dribble, but can he make decisions?
Right. I understand. Well, thanks, Will. You got anything else?
I don't believe so. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Glad to have you. Hope you come back. Talk soon. Oh, didn't mean to cut you off there. We're going to give Krishna another shot. Krishna, what's up, man?
Hey, Kirk. Can you hear me now?
There we go. Sometimes when if you switch out, in and out of the app, it'll cut you off.
My internet went out for like 1 minute, and then the app, So then obviously the app didn't work. Obviously, Josh Green Island, it's going bonkers. What a great game from the guy. Had his first ever post-game interview. That was fun. It's what we've been talking about, right? Like I get all the calls for him to start, but like I don't know if over Reggie, like Reggie has 11 years in this league, and like the statistics show he just doesn't shoot well in the first 2 months of the season, like ever. But it's what we've wanted. Like we've wanted Josh Green you don't need him to be a star. You just need him to be a contributor. And that's what he did tonight. And it came out through the stats, but even like minus the stats, like he just gives good energy and hustle. And I get all the comparisons. Like you always want to compare people in their drafts, but it's not that I think that's wrong, but I think it sometimes can I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes it's just like I don't want to say it's kind of unnecessary in some senses. Like as long as Josh Green, I feel like has a good and defined role, I feel like that is enough. And it doesn't mean that Desmond Bane isn't a better player or Desmond Bane isn't a better pick. It just means that, look, Josh Green is like finding his role here. He's a significant contributor, and I think that's really good. Of course, you wish he was a bigger player, but look, he is what he is, and I'm completely happy with what he is right now.
I can understand that. What else you got?
I agree with the last caller on Spencer. I was also worried. It's not that I think Spencer is a bad player, nothing like that. But when you saw Spencer really in his element in Brooklyn, and even here last season with the Mavericks, it was as the third option. And I think the reason is just that teams are so focused on your first two options that he just has all the freedom to not only shoot a bit more open shots, but drive to the basket. And now you're seeing it. He's struggling a little more as a second option. So I do think, getting a real secondary, it doesn't need to be a playmaker, just someone who controls and handles the ball. Like, for consistency is something we need. Now, where we get that, who that is, I don't know. I think the Ben Simmons trade rumors, I don't think they're necessarily realistic because – yes, I've talked about before, I think the Mavericks, who they trade for as a ball handler is going to be a distressed asset in the sense of Spencer was technically a distressed asset when he came in. But I don't think it's that much. It's kind of it has to be a risk reward thing where the person you bring in maybe necessarily isn't seen to fit in a situation, but you can make it work. And I don't know if it's necessarily him. I've thought about other players. I'm not going to throw anyone out there because I know if I throw anyone, people are just going to absolutely burn me down for it. But it's hard. I think this team last year, I don't think we were that great at clutch time, if I was wrong.
Not early on. And it sort of evened itself out as they really were bad 2 years ago. No, I don't know. We've had all this stuff starts to blend together for me.
For sure.
But it's nice to see early on this year.
For sure. And I think, like you kind of talked about, you just need to get wins super early on in the season because you just don't know what happens down the road. Other teams will change, situations and not just with your team, but just around the league. I think of last year, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but the Warriors, they started out so well that even as they had some injury issues and some betting issues, they could still hold on to the top 3 seed down the road. And, their record was so strong, they still had home court in the finals. So, I think at least getting these wins, no matter how ugly in some senses, is good. And it's weird. This team is literally Jekyll and Hyde. They look so good at times, and the statistics say they're the number one offense. But then you watch them and you go, "How is this team the number one offense?" It's very, very weird. And the whole league is kind of in a frenzy because the Warriors barely eked out a win against the Kings tonight. The Bucks didn't have Giannis and they got shellacked by the Hawks. It's hard to predict anything game in and game out because we have so few mini games, but some of the good trends we're seeing, I'm more inclined to believe are real. The Josh Green stuff, I think, is more positive, and the Luka just looking healthier. I think it's kind of underrated, but Luka coming in healthier, and also just overall decision making has been way better than we've seen to start the season since the pre-bubble season, honestly. And I think that's really good because down the stretch then I think as the role players start getting more comfortable, that's good. Okay, the Bucks did have Giannis. Well, there you go. I thought Giannis was not playing tonight. So that goes to show how much I know. The Bucks got shellacked. I thought they didn't have Giannis. So
Giannis got 2 offensive fouls pretty early on, and it kind of changed the way the game flow went.
Yeah, see, it's hard to see where teams and games are going, but I think overall, just a positive win. Nets are interesting. I don't know. I have much to say about them, but hopefully, the Mavericks just figure things out and they stop making the same mistakes. And the weird thing is, they just keep making different mistakes.
Oh, sure.
And I don't know if that's worse.
It's better because I want to have something to build towards. If they're playing really well right now, I like the fact that they're playing really well and we're still looking and we still see a fair amount of things that they can figure out.
For sure. And I think it's weird because in some ways, we've talked about it, but defense definitely feeds into the offense, and you're seeing the defense has been very up and down. And I think we're seeing the defense get a little bit better. And I think in some ways that's what affects our offense is we just get into these spurts where our defense looks pretty bad, and so then it completely affects our offense. But also there's just times where guys on the court are just, they don't know, completely look like they know what they're doing. And I think those are things where they get fixed, because personally, I know like I like having young guys on the team, but I think in some senses having guys who are experienced, not only experienced in terms of playing on this team, but just in different situations, will help overall, because the learning curve I don't think is as great as a team that's really young. But hopefully the Magic game goes well, and I had a good night. Sorry to keep you up late, Kirk, and everyone else, but have a good night, everyone.
All right, talk soon, bud. All right, yeah, nobody. I would just close the room if I didn't want to talk to everybody. So we're going to get to we have 3 people remaining. We're going to keep talking to everybody. Jacob, what's up?
Hey, Kirk, what's going on?
Well, just making it through the evening. What's happening?
Yeah, well, let me just say, as a University of Texas fan and a Mavs fan, if these games keep going like they're going, I might pick up a smoking habit here soon.
Sure.
Yeah, so, well, where else should I start off other than, being on Josh Green Island? I'm just going to say that I think he should be definitely getting at least 25 minutes a night right now, and maybe even starting over Reggie. And that's nothing against Reggie. I'm like you, I'll never give up on him. But, I just think you make him earn those minutes back right now with what Josh has been doing so far this year. Like,
right.
There's not really a thing that Josh isn't doing well right now. Like, he's staying in front of his man on defense. He's playing great team defense. He's shooting the ball extremely well. He leads the team in true shooting percentage, and that's not mentioning that he's, the top 3-point shooter in the league.
Which is hilarious. Just like it's objectively hilarious.
Yeah, and even if that is, not that big of a sample size compared to the Stephs and the Lukas and the, Clays and, whoever else in the world. I mean, I ain't complaining. That's all I'll say about that.
Josh Green is still leading, and I don't think this has been updated for tonight. He's leading the league right now at an 85% true shooting percentage. Which is only going to go up when you shoot 5 of 5. So I can't wait.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think a lot of his game is actually confidence based, kind of like Maxi's is, man.
Sure.
Because like when Luka dished it to him behind the back on that pick and roll, which, by the way, I think we've definitely might have found something with Josh as the screener and with Luka. He stepped into the 3 and he just had that look that, yeah, that one's going in. I don't even need to look at it. So
love that.
Yeah, for sure. I loved it too. And, I just coming into the league, he's just such an incredibly raw player, and, that's been alluded to. He's only 19. Of course, his shot was rough, and I don't with a player as raw as he was, I don't think that's something that you can necessarily microwave. Like, you definitely need to develop it, kind of like Dorian, kind of like we did with Dorian almost. So to, finally see us reap the benefits of him, being able to shoot the ball, it's just fantastic. Like, I'm really happy for the dude. And yeah, he just does everything well. Like, there's been a couple of different occasions in different games this year. I feel like he's, gotten us extra possessions, like with an offensive rebound or whatever. And his playmaking ability has gotten like I don't know how to describe it, but I'll just throw out the play where he just whipped it through the defense and found Tim open for the 3.
Felt big. That was a big. I felt kind of like a turning point when the game started to break open a little bit.
Yeah, no, we were down by 15 right there or something like that. 10 or 15, and he whipped it across the court to Tim.
Yeah.
So, yep. Hopefully he can keep it up. I wouldn't mind seeing him start right now. So, and I also want to bring up the game by Spencer. I don't really totally blame it all on him. Like, interested to get your take on this. I think I don't know if the NBA changed offensive foul rules recently or not, since he decided to say what he said about Tony Brothers, but like, it just felt like the refs kind of took him out of the game, and it just kind of feels political with Spencer right now.
He does. So he's got a ridiculous wingspan, and there are just games when, and it's early in the season, when refs want to call that stuff. Like there's a point of emphasis, and then the point of emphasis slowly goes away because there were a lot of offensive fouls. There have been a lot of offensive fouls in Mavericks games recently. And Spencer he does a lot of offhand stuff that I think can get called either way. And tonight was just particularly rough.
Yeah, no, I still believe in Spencer. This is one of those games.
Sure.
Hard to complain about a guy that's been making half of his threes. I'm sure he'll regress to the means, but I mean, I've been mostly pleased with what he's been able to do so far. So, and yeah, other than that, I'm still kind of puzzled by J-Kid's minutes that he's been dishing out with Wood. It's like you said earlier. You can't like if defense is the problem, you some of these things take live action minutes for him to figure it out. I guess that's not something that I'm pretty sure you can't really totally figure it out. Just going half speed in practice, like just let him see what he can do. I don't know. I think, and plus with the way he's been playing offense for the lion's share of the season so far, I think you just kind of deal with it. To be honest.
Sure. Well, they got 2 games in a row against teams I think they should be able to throttle, even though the Wizards will probably give them more of a fight than I'm thinking about. Yeah, we'll see. Also, Josh Bowe just sent me a message. He's apparently listening to the show. Josh Green's updated true shooting percentage is now 92.1. So that's
only 92.1. What a bum.
I know, not 100. Well, thanks, Jacob.
Yep, no problem. Have a good one.
All right, let's go to. Last 2 people dropped off. Sorry to make you wait that long. I try to get there, buddy, but I also get better at hosting as the season goes along. It's just like it's the way these things go. All right, we'll be back. Let's see here. We have 2 games, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll be back with post-game shows. They're early games. I want to say they're like 6:30 Central start times, which means these will kick off earlier, which will be nicer for all of us. We won't have to stay up till 1 in the morning. Everybody be good. If depending on way things go for you, if I'm gonna stay off the internet tomorrow, it's election day in America, everybody acts like an interesting person online. Have a great Tuesday. Go Mavs. Thanks so much for spending so much of your time with me. I really appreciate it.